Hello and welcome to this edition of Elvenhome. Been a bit chilly lately, I think. Sort of weather that makes brass monkeys nervous. But it's been warm enough with the layout and getting on with starting work on the Gasworks. A little bit more work on the lighting, and I'll show you the effect of that towards the end. A festive edition, well, festive, it's at Christmas time, of Two to watch. For you to have a look at a couple of channels that I think could do with a bit more support. And also an idea that came to me a day or two ago to help me get the right kind of wagons that I will need, tank wagons, in the Gasworks. So let's get on and first of all have a look at the Gasworks and the various bits and pieces that I've acquired to be able to build it. In the last video, I mentioned that I wanted to get back to actually modelling the Gasworks, and you'll see in a moment or two, maybe a few moments or two, how that's all coming together. But I thought what I would do first of all is just show you the various things that I've acquired for my Gasworks. Many of them you've seen before, because of course there was a Gasworks in more or less in the space where it's going to be before I started making the recent changes. I've been able to find a number of websites that have been useful for me in my researches on the Gasworks, and I'll put links in the description below to the various sites that I've used. I'm not going to try and make a totally prototypical Gasworks. I want to get as close as I can for the casual observer, that you will know it's a Gasworks. I mean, I suppose a couple of gas holders would be sufficient, but I want just a little bit more than that. And one of the sites that I looked at was very useful in showing images of the process for a small, medium and large gasworks. And what you see in front of you is the slimmed down process for a small gasworks, which is what I'm going to say is in Weathertop. So let's go through it and I'll show you the various things that I've got because I acquired some of them at Worley. So first of all, we need some coal in. These are Harbin Hobbies, not from Worley. And that then is taken into the retort house, which is my first thing that you've seen before. This is a part of the Little End Gasworks kit or series. They made a number of buildings and you'll see more of them coming on in a moment. That has attached to it a boiler house and chimney. Now I'm reusing a building that's actually called the Stores in the Little House range. But that is because there was also an exhauster house. And the purpose of the exhauster house was to exhaust the retorts of the gas and pump that round through the system. I'm reusing the boiler house that comes with the Little End kit. And I'll arrange these buildings not quite as you see it on the screen now. From the exhauster house, the gas then passes into the condenser to cool the gas, so that they can start taking the impurities out of it. And that then passes to the purifier, which removes sulfur. It then goes on its way through a tower scrubber and washers. That's the tower scrubber, and this is part of a 3-tank kit that I bought at Worley from PD Marsh. Went together very nicely. I used some Vallejo plastic putty over the seams and over the top because it comes as 2 halves with a lid and a base. And it went together very well. I was very pleased with it. And I've got 2 other tanks which I can use. I'll put a picture up of these in a moment, which I can use somewhere else on the layout, but I won't be using it here. But in addition to the tower scrubber, I also need my washer, and that's part 1 of the Little End series of buildings as well. From the washer, you get the ammoniacal liquor, which is used, which is sent off for further refining, because I think you can get naphtha out of it, I think, something like that anyway. So for that at the moment, I'm using a kit that I bought from the Engage Society for a tank. And I'll put a link in the description below to this kit. Again, a very simple kit, went together very nice and easily. You have to be a member of the Engage Society to buy it, but that's not the end of the world. You'll see also that one of the byproducts from the condenser is tar. Now that is just needs to be a simple tank. And so that is what I have. You'll see these a bit better when I put them on the layout, but just so you can see, this is bits of a Nightwing kit. And I'll show you it a bit better when I get it on the layout. From that, we then end up with this going through the meter, which would normally have a meter house, and I haven't got one yet. Well, I may have, but I'm looking for a building that I can use as the meter house. One thing that I haven't mentioned is that when the coke comes out of the retorts, it needs to be cooled, and that would go into sometimes a little stone building where water can be put onto the top of the coal to cool it down. And I'm going to repurpose that little building, which is actually from the Weybridge kit. That's a PD Marsh kit, I think, and is meant to be by a Weybridge, but it'll do just fine. Nice little thing. And then, of course, the last thing we need is a gas holder. And there it is. This one is the Encenix gas holder. It's showing its age, actually. I think I might just buy a new one. And then there's the Modelux gas holder that you've seen already. Now, what I will do is translate this onto the layout so you can see how I'm going to lay them out on there. Here you can see the Gasworks, as I'm pretty certain, well, as certain as I ever am, that this is how I'm going to lay it out. So you've got the boiler house, the retort house, and the exhauster house. That is pumping the gas through the condensers, from which comes the tar, through the iron lung to take the sulphur out, through the tower scrubber and washers. From the tower scrubber and washers comes the ammoniacal liquid. That is such a hard word to say. And then from the scrubbers, it goes into the gas holders. One thing I've got to put on here somewhere is a meter house. As I said, this little building, which I'm using at the moment for quenching the coke when it comes out of the retorts, that may turn into be the meter house, because I think it might do better if I can find something to replace it as the coke quenching house. The coal will be delivered straight off the line and dumped straight onto the hard standing. I've checked plenty of photos of Gasworks with huge piles of very large lumps of coal. Very interesting. It's not, as you might expect, it's not the sort of stuff you'd stick in your fire in your front room. This is great big hairy lumps of the stuff, even bigger, I think, than you would see perhaps in the back of in a tender of a steam engine. And similarly, the coke, when it was brought out, it was all barreled around in sometimes on railway tracks, but most often just with barrels that moved it into the retort house and brought the coke out, some of which could be used on site to actually run the boiler, but most of which would be sold and either taken away by train, or you could go and buy coke from the Gasworks for use in domestic fires. And I want to try and do that. There's the building at the back behind the chimney that's hiding, which you didn't see before, which is the site entrance and shop. Again, part of the Little End series, and a little gateway. So I'll be putting that in. The yellow line you can see running behind is where I think the wall will run, to give me enough space for a fairly narrow roadway in and out of Weathertop. So that is how I'm intending to put the Gasworks on. What I'm going to do now is actually start working laying the track, and hopefully you will see something coming onto the line. The thing that's tricky is finding a kit. I think P&D Marsh may do one, but finding a kit I can use for the delivery of the tar into a tanker. And that I doubt that I'll have in time before this video goes up. And in any event, I don't have to get this all finished in one go. I need to put the gasworks into its place, because it's only once that's done that I'll know if I have space to put in the brewery. And if I don't, then I'll reuse that space in a different way. So there you are. That's where I am so far. I'm now going to get on and actually get some track properly laid down, and we'll see where we go from there. Hello and welcome to Two to Watch, the final one for the year, which is now an occasional series where I showcase two engaged channels, which I think it would be good for more people to see. The first of these, I mentioned, I think in the last video, that I had the pleasure of meeting Gemma, whose channel Stoney-ole. You will have seen the Stoney-ole layout also on Colin's Engage, because some of his locomotives are shown running whilst he's in the process of building his new layout. And for some reason, and I'm not sure why, I hadn't subscribed at that point to Stoney-ole, which was a shame, because I've been really impressed with the videos that are on the channel, which have been running for just over a year that Gemma has been building the layout. And I think there's something about 10 videos there, the most recent of which went up about 2 weeks ago. Now, I know some of you who subscribe to my channel are already subscribers here, and I've been really impressed with the quality of the modelling. I'm really interested with the layout and the various things that have been built into the layout. As Gemma says herself, the layout is based in North Yorkshire. It's a fictional village of Stoney-ole located near a quarry, hence its name. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how this continues to develop. But there's been some really first-class scenic work done, quite apart from the laying of the track and all the work that's been involved in getting that working as she would want it to do. So that's something, certainly, I think if you've not come across this channel, be well worth going and subscribing to and watching the development of this channel. The second channel is Hayridge Model Rail, and I had the pleasure of meeting Alan at Whalley. He came across and said hello. I was just about to have my lunch, or get by my lunch, so we weren't able to speak for as long as we might otherwise have liked. But his is a very new channel. He only has, at the time of recording, 9 subscribers. He's building his layout in his attic, and he's started about 3 months ago on the putting videos up. As he said, that since the beginning of 2022, he's been working on a new attic layout, and he's keen for people to join him as he progresses from an empty space to a never quite finished layout. The videos are not very long yet, but they are showing well the work that he's doing, and I think it would be good to be able to provide him with some support from the Engage community as he builds his layout into the loft space that he has. So that's the two to watch. It's not a very long two to watch. If you have any channels that you think it would be really good for me to show in two to watch, I'm more than happy to consider doing that. Generally speaking now, I certainly am only interested in Engage layouts because this idea was born actually from a thing that Chris at 4 Oak Street was saying about the need for the Engage community to support each other, particularly on YouTube, where there's many fewer of us, of course, because there's many fewer Engage modelers. And I'm also keen, if possible, to go more towards channels that are producing regular material and have not yet got to wide attention. And that is actually getting harder and harder to do, I'm finding. It maybe I'm not searching very well, but if you come across anything that you think it would be quite nice for me to include in Two to Watch, please do let me know. And with that brings Two to Watch to an end. But I do encourage you to go across and have a look at the videos on these two channels and to subscribe to them. So with that, let's move on to something that only occurred to me this morning. It occurred to me that I hadn't shown you the other two tanks of the 3-tank set that I bought. You've seen the one that I'm using for the tower scrubber. These are the other two that come in the set. I think I said for the tower scrubber that it came in 2 halves with a top and a bottom. In fact, that one comes with a piece of plastic tube in which provides the barrel. And then you have a white metal top and bottom, and I use the plastic putty around the top and the bottom to give me a smooth transition from one to the other. These are the tanks that came in 2 halves with a separate top and bottom, and again I use the plastic putty to be able to fill in where the 2 halves of the metal come together, and then paint over the top. All the holes were already there for you on this one, although you may have to just put a drill through to complete the hole where the casting, some of the metal has run over the back of the hole usually. But I was very pleased with the kit, and I've got 2 tanks now which I can use for something, although I'm not entirely sure what. So let's move those out of the way. The main reason for this section, which is I'm filming on the Wednesday afternoon because it's only occurred to me this morning, I've been looking around for what tank wagons there are out there that would be used for taking away the ammoniacal liquid and the tar. Now I think I've saw something rather different for the tar, but it did occur to me that I had, right at the beginning when I was waiting for the baseballs to come, I'd made up a couple of Pico tank kits which are based around their milk wagons more than anything else. But looking at the Pico tar tank and their other tanks, the basic design of their tanks is exactly the same. And it is essentially this, with variations. And for the milk wagons, which is the completed kit, looks like that, it has this ladder up the centre. But otherwise, it's in all respect identical to the ones that are in the Pico range that are used for carrying hazardous material. However, there is one big difference, and the big difference is that there is this ladder in the middle, and the ladder has a pip on the back of it that fits into a square hole, and you can see here that I've got some strip styrene going through, which is not there on the wagons that are used for carrying hazardous liquids. So I went into my strip styrene collection, which is quite substantial, and eventually came up with some, I think that is 0.5mm by 2mm strip styrene, which I eventually got to thread through 2 holes. I mean, it really is like having 2 needles lined up and trying to thread a single thread through both needles from one side. Eventually it gave in and came through, which is rather good. So what I'm going to do, and you'll see the results of this in the next video, because I don't think I'm likely to have this finished in time to be able to record it for this video, though I hope it won't take me too long to do. I'm going now to stick this strip styrene in and then cut and shape it back. I'll probably need to use some plastic putty just to completely fill the holes and sand it down. Then I'm going to paint the whole thing black, and the chassis which comes with it, I mean the rest of the kit is in there, paint all that black, and then I'm going to have a go at doing my own transfers. I've got some water slide transfer printer paper on its way from Amazon, and I've got various software that will allow me to play around with some images, and I think we will have a bespoke company that is taking away the ammoniacal liquid for some diabolic purpose. But I'll show you the outcome of this in the next video. Good or bad. At the worst, it will just be a black tank with nothing on it. But if I can pull off doing the water slide transfers, that may be something that some of you might like to have a go at doing as well. So that's what this brief interlude, which is meant to be a brief interlude, is all about. What I think we'll do now is we'll go and see some trains running. Well, I hope you enjoyed that running session. Somewhat sepulchral gloom, but I was quite keen to see if we could get what effects we could get with the lighting. Certainly the new lighting on the platform, that seemed to come through okay. And it was just nice to be able to show the layout a bit in the dark. I did a couple of evenings ago just cast round because I've put some new lights. You probably can't see them there by the green bus in front of the station. I'll take a photo and put that up just here. But a few evenings ago, I turned the lights off and just went round with the camera to see what it looks like, essentially. And I was quite pleased with the results. And I'll put that up here, and you'll see it from the church school with its chapel, which is lit, then round to the war memorial, on to the fire station and the hotel, which is all lit. The area in front of the station now much better with the lighting of the hoarding and the lit market, and generally the lighting that's now on the platforms. The whole thing just is taking on a warmth. And then I swung round to the lighting of the depot before going up onto the Church of St Eldar, and then along and round to the station of Grey Havens, both the platform and the lighting to the station entrance. And that really does make the point about getting lights into the terraces, though that won't be at the very earliest the new year, because in crawling around under the layout to get the two lights in, I damaged my right knee. It was sort of screaming, "What the hell are you doing under here, you old fool?" So that will be in the new year. This is the last video before Christmas. I'm hoping to get a video up for the new year. Well, I will put something up before the new year. Whether it will be a full video or just a shortened one to say Happy New Year, I'll wait and see. But can I thank everybody that subscribes to the channel, everybody that comments. They're just so helpful, the comments. You've heard me say that before, but they really are. And everyone that takes time to like to the videos as well. I'm really so grateful to all of you. Got over 2,800 subscribers now, which is an astonishing figure when I started out some 7 years ago. I've also got a flickery light in one of those carriages, which I think must be Dirty Wheels. But if I can just wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas. Hope you have a good time. For those of you who are hoping for particular gifts from Santa, let's hope Santa does the job for you. And if you've got any comments on this video, well, please do let me have them. If you've liked the video, give it a thumbs up. That's really very helpful. And if you haven't already subscribed, well, please do subscribe, because it would be really good to have you along. But until I speak to you in about a fortnight's time, that's bye-bye from me. Bye-bye.